some public roads in Nova Scotia. Glenn Hudson heads the Cumberland County Riders ATV Club. He says Nova Scotia and PEI are the only provinces that don't allow ATVs some access to roads, and he says that's hurting tourism and putting riders in danger. He started the petition calling for the law to be changed. Glenn Hudson joins us now from his home in Amherst. Hello, Glenn.
Good morning, O'Malley.
Glenn, when people hear you want access to public roads, they're likely picturing ATVs driving along the side of the highway. Is that what you're looking for?
Side of the roads in some areas. It's only to gain access to goods and services that we can access otherwise in a cost-efficient way, or to get around barriers that we can't otherwise get there. For example, just might be a lake or a river that would be, astronomical to build a bridge or a trail around it.
So you're saying sometimes ATVs need to drive on the side of the highway to get to these places?
That's correct, and this is what's happening in other provinces across Canada. It just becomes sense, and in this province, we're not allowed to cross the 100 series highways, so that's a real barrier.
So if you can't cross the 100 series highways, what are you cut off from?
Well, basically, if you look at Cumberland County, it basically splits the whole county in half. So we cannot have a trail system in the county. And if you follow the other 100 series highways, as they've expanded recently, and it's become even more of a point through other areas, they probably actually have cut off trail systems that were in place before the highway was extended.
So does it mean that nobody's crossing the road to get to these trails, or what are they doing now?
Unfortunately, it's quite the contrary. I mean, most ATVers I know want to be law-abiding citizens, but unfortunately they are taking the risk in crossing the highways in Nova Scotia, especially the Trans-Canada and the 100 series highways, which no OHV are allowed to cross legally. However, if I look out my window here in Amherst and I glance over at New Brunswick, I can drive over to New Brunswick and I'm legally allowed to cross the Trans-Canada just by Sackville.
So it's allowed nearby, but not when you cross the border.
That's correct, but I'm not particularly interested in crossing on the Trans-Canada. I would like the government to let us use overpasses, especially low-traffic overpasses that would allow us to drive over the TCH and not be in contact with it at all.
So you're not asking for permission to cut across, a divided highway to get to a trail then?
No, I'm actually hoping that I'm looking at the safer option, and that to me the safer option is driving on an overpass that's already been constructed. It's cost efficient, and it's a very short distance for an ATV to drive along the road.
As a former RCMP officer, I'm sure you're well aware of the dangers. So why is a former RCMP officer suggesting that ATVs should be allowed on highways?
Well, the situation is this, right? I wear two hats, sort of. I'm also the chair of a tourism committee that came out of the Engage Nova Scotia process that happened here in Amherst. So I'm looking at it at both sides, the tremendous economic and tourism opportunities for Cumberland County, as well as safer. You
say it's a big tourism opportunity here. Do you really think that there are many people not coming to Nova Scotia with their ATVs because they can't legally access the highways?
It's not so much accessing the highways as having the trail system that's connected, and in this sense is that, like with Amherst, the TCH goes around pretty well 2 or 3 sides of it, and so we're not able to connect with the other trails. And what happens is, I'll give you the example. I had a call last spring from a group who were coming to the area and they wanted to take a ride, and their criteria was they wanted to have accommodations near the trail. They wanted to be able to unload their vehicle, stay a couple nights, and not have to load the vehicle back on. I had to send them down the highway past Amherst. And I don't think people realize the tremendous economic impact that the sport of ATV has. There was a study commissioned within the province in 2015, which indicated spending in Nova Scotia was $160 million per year.
So it's pretty healthy. I mean, would it really get an economic boost if you could access those trails by going over highways?
Well, let me give you, if we had the trail system, and again, I can look out and see New Brunswick just last month, which was February, and is not considered to be a high tourism season in any area. They ran a rally. It was the second year they had done it, and they had over 100 ATVs registered. And from that rally, they estimated that about $40,000 was pumped into the local economy in that weekend. That if we had that trail connectivity in Amherst where we get across the Trans-Canada, we could probably do the same thing and bring those kind of numbers here as well.
Why haven't you been able to get the same access here to now?
I think that's a question you'll have to ask the politicians. It's been raised to the different governments over the years, the issue of road access, and I just can't answer why it's not happening.
Do you think there's any rural-urban divide on this issue?
Well, I can only speak for here in Amherst and Cumberland County. The town of Amherst, the town of Oxford, and the county of Cumberland are all strongly behind this. I did presentations to them last summer, and they all submitted letters of support to the government asking for changes. And they continue to voice their support for this. I know a lot of rural areas are asking for this because they see the advantage, because what happens is that a lot of times you start in a more densely populated area maybe, and then you drive to a more rural area, you stop and have lunch, and it pumps a lot of money into the local economy.
Well, look, we'll watch and see what happens with your petition. Thank you for taking our call today.
Thank you so much. If I may just add, if people want to get in touch with us, we have an email, ohv2017petition@gmail.com, and we're on Facebook at 2017 Nova Scotia Off-Highway Vehicle.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's Glenn Hudson. He's president of the Cumberland County Riders ATV Club, and his petition calling for ATVs to have access to highways is now circulating throughout Nova Scotia. We'd like to hear from you on this. Should ATVs be allowed limited access to highways? Do you think this would create problems? Maybe you see that it's a problem now, the way ATVs are crossing highways. Tell us what's going on and what you think about this. Our answering machine is at 1-800-565-5463.